Okay. Now today we are going to start with our new chapter on statistics, that is chapter number 13, unit 1. So this is the basic summary. Now when we talk about statistics, okay, what is the necessary or why is statistics required? As a question, if I ask you, if this is the question that I am asking you. So statistics means what? When large amount of data is collected and based on that data, certain conclusions have to be made. Let us take an example. Right now in this class, how many students are there? 9 students are there. So of 9 students, I want to record their names, their marks obtained in 12th standard. Okay. Now this is a large amount of data. So on this, based on this data, I want to know a few things about this class. So what are the few things? First, I want to know how many students have got more than 90% marks. Then 80%, more than 80% marks, and then more than 70% marks and less than 70% marks. So that I can get an idea about this class. So what I am going to do? I am going to take all this data together, okay, and then I am going to put on a few restrictions, or let us say a few rules on which we will decide the criteria. So now the number of students who has got more than 90% marks. Suppose there are 2 students in my class. So from that, what do I understand, or what conclusion will I make? That not many students are, academically good. Some may be very sharp. Some might be, a few average students will also be there who are going to make more effort and then they will get marks and so on. Okay. So basically, statistics is a branch of mathematics which is used when large amount of data, or based on that large amount of data, some conclusions have to be drawn. Samajh mein aaya? So we have, now this is a very limited data that we are talking about. But if I say in Pune city, I want to find out the number of women who are working women. So for that, I have to analyze the entire Pune city region. That is divided into, let us say, 4 parts. So out of those 4 parts, I am going to check how many women are present in that particular part. Based on that, I will find out whether that woman is a working woman or no. So basically what I am doing, I am converting a large amount of data into 4 parts or groups in order to minimize the, what you can say, in order to minimize the confusion, I am going to convert them into 4 groups according to the region. So basically statistics is used, statistics means what? A large amount of data that is collected, which can be a primary data or a secondary data. Now we have taken an example of you all people, okay, the number of students studying in my class. So now based on this, let us say I am going to take your height. I am going to measure all the students' height and I have to find out the tallest person in my class. So this is going to be my primary data. I will ask each one of you what is your height and I will mark it somewhere. So that is my primary data which I have obtained. Now from this data, if I want to see how many girls are above 150 centimeters in my class. So first what do I need? I need the primary data. I need the basic height of all the students. Based on that data, I will use this primary data to do my secondary data calculation. So this is going to be my secondary data. So did you understand the difference between primary data and secondary data? Samajh mein aaya? What is primary data? What is secondary data? Pakka? Okay. Now if you go and see over here, the history goes back. Statistics is basically used in many countries. If you can see, in Latin, the word status originated from that Latin word, okay? Or there is an Italian word called as statista or statistic, which was later changed to statistics. See, now this is the theory part for this particular chapter. I am going to make you mark a few important things. Everybody has a textbook? Everyone has a textbook? Yes or no? Okay, so mark down a few things which I am telling you. So just mark these, because all these questions will be asked in MCQs. So now if you see over here in the first paragraph, history of statistics, which you can see over here. Please mark this. The Latin word status, Italian word statista, German word statistic. Are there any online students? Okay, so now mark these words. Then it was later changed to statistics, and another suggestion is that a French word statistic. So this is a French word, statistic. This you should know. Now there was an Indian scholar known as Kautilya who had kept a record of births and deaths, okay, as well as some other precious records in the book Arthashastra. Please underline this, Arthashastra, Kautilya. Then we find statistical records on agriculture in Ain-e-Akbari written by Abu Fazl. So mark this also. And Pharaoh in Egypt during 300 BC to 2000 BC. So basically you should know all these points. Okay. Now definition of statistics. So basically statistics is either used as a plural or singular both. So statistics is basically a plural noun which may be defined as data, qualitative or quantitative, that are collected. See, so mark this part. Statistics, when used in a plural noun, may be defined as data which is qualitative as well as quantitative, and that are collected usually with a view of having statistical analysis. समझ में आया this part? हाँ? BC म्हणजे before Christ. It is basically an era or time period that is marked in history, that is BC. Okay. Okay, so now when we talk about qualitative and quantitative data, okay, write down a few things, because all these are basics of statistics. Some of you don't have statistics as the subject, so I am going to go from the basic part, all the basics. And if you don't understand, ask me then and there. Okay, Atharva, I like that, because that is important, then only I'll understand. Okay. हिंदी मध्ये एक्सप्लेन करू? माझं हिंदी ऐकायचं आहे तुम्हाला? ओके. किती लोकांना हिंदी कळतं? फक्त हिंदी कळतं. मराठी भी आता है ना? हाँ. So my Marathi is better as compared to my Hindi. मराठी आता ना? नहीं आता मराठी, but you understand English. You understand what I am trying to teach you here, so not a problem. What's your name? Harshavardhan. Yes, I remember. Okay. So written down this part. Write down the part which I have marked. Statistics का ये definition है. Statistics may be defined as data which is qualitative as well as quantitative. statistics is defined as data that is qualitative as well as quantitative that are collected usually with a view of having statistical data. With a view of having statistical data. Okay, then write down. Okay, now you will write it down like I am going to write it down over here. Data of two types, qualitative and this is quantitative. So as the name suggests, qualitative म्हणजे काय? Number of students. हो ना, का आलाय? ओके वेट, लेट मी सी दॅट. आलाय लक्षात माझ्या. एकच मिनिट. आय विल जस्ट पॉज, लेट मी सी व्हॉट हॅज हॅपन. ते ठीक आहे, पण आता माझा आवाज आणि दिसतंय का व्यवस्थित?
हो आहे व्यवस्थित.
दिसतंय ना सगळं?
हो दिसतंय.
हां हां
फक्त हे करा तुम्ही, म्हणजे स्क्रीन याच्या साईडला घ्या करून.
हो, एकच मिनिट.
अनलॉक करा आधी लॉक
हो करते. Okay, so now as I was telling you, data is classified into two types, qualitative data and quantitative data. Now write down the example of qualitative data. Example of this, see, data is of two parts, qualitative and quantitative data. So the examples are height or weight of students or marks of students. This is the example. And for quantitative data, the example is the total number, the number of girls in a class. So quantitative means which will give you the quantity of data. Number of girls, number of boys, total. Now again, data is classified as two types. One is the primary data and the second one is a secondary data. Okay, now after this point, now the different applications of statistics. Do you know what are the different applications of statistics? Can you give me any example? Any example that you can think of? Suppose, let us take an example of shares. Let us say that there are total 5 shares. Okay, and you have to study the future trend of a particular share. So what do? You collect data from all the previous years, find out the values. Okay, let us say for example Tata Steel. Initially it was less, it was 100, but now it has become 1000 rupees. So there is an appreciation in the cost or the price of the share. So now if we have to study the future trend of this particular share, that how this share will perform in the future, okay. So for that, what do we need to do? We need to analyze the numbers, huge amount of numbers, because huge amount of data is collected up till 2025. All the years ka data is collected. So in a year there are 12 months. Okay, so those 12 months are also there. So per month the data is collected. Now in order to decide the future trend, what aspect will be seen? How much it has appreciated, okay, up till now. And if there is no war or no socio-economic problem, then it will rise further, because steel is a very important part of our industry. Steel will be required always. So depending upon this, the future trends are decided. So this is statistics. Data, huge amount of data is collected, then it is analyzed or scrutinized based upon the use of it or purpose of it. So if you analysis, time series analysis, etc. are done using statistics. In business management, the managers, now see, initially the managers, what they used to do, based on trial and error, they used to decide what next strategy has to be there in a business. But nowadays, based upon statistics, they can analyze a few things. Either it can be qualitative analysis or quantitative analysis, and then they will decide, instead of trial and error, based on previous data, they will decide what will be the different strategies that can be done. So have you understood what are the applications? Again a problem. There is some problem with Zoom today. Online students, please let me know. Are you able to hear the voice now? So please write in the chat box and let me know. Shall I start the next part? Let us go to the applications. Okay, so as I was telling you, there are many vast applications of statistics in the fields of economics, business management, commerce and industry. Whenever there is a large amount of data and some conclusion or analysis has to be done, in all those scenarios, we are going to use statistics. In business management, in commerce and industry, can you tell me in industry, if you can see over here, data on previous sales, raw materials, wages, salaries, products of identical nature of other factories, etc. are collected, analyzed, and experts are consulted in order to maximize the profits. So business hai. So what's the main purpose of business? It has to increase, or profit has to be the maximum. Then only the business can run. Okay. Now there are a few limitations of statistics as well. We'll read out the few limitations. Statistics deal with aggregates. Do you know what is an aggregate or average? Average is what, if I want to find out the mark average of 3 students, I will add all the 3 marks divided by how many? 3, because there are 3 students. So in this way I'll get the average or aggregate. Okay. So statistics deals with aggregates. An individual to a statistician has no significance except the fact that it is a part of the aggregate. So individual values are not important. Aggregate values are taken to analyze. Second, so can anybody tell me how can this be a limitation? If there is some error in a person's marks, okay, out of the 3 students, if there is some error in one person's marks, the aggregate is going to get affected. If the aggregate gets affected, entire data is going to get affected and analysis will be wrong. Okay, so this is the first limitation. Second, statistics is concerned with only quantitative data. However, qualitative data can also be converted to quantitative by providing a numerical description. So basically, numbers are very important in statistics. Okay, So quantity is important rather than quality. Understood? Next, future projections of sales, production, price and quantity are possible under a specific set of conditions. If any of these conditions is violated, then projections are likely to be inaccurate. If the set of conditions are not followed while the data is getting collected, then that is an error again. Okay. The theory of statistical inferences is built upon random sampling. Now, in the first case, when I had told you that when there is a large group of data, that group is converted into 4 parts, let us see. Okay. So, each part is going to be my sample. So, that is nothing but sampling scheme. So, what I have done, a large amount of data, analyzing the entire large amount is not possible. So, I convert them into 4 groups. So, there will be 4 samples and we are going to analyze this data based on sampling technique. Understood? But if the if first group has some problem or the individual scores are not calculated correctly, so again the aggregate is going to get affected, because of which the entire data will get affected for that particular area or for that particular sample. Okay, so we will be able to minimize the error because sample is there. Instead of a large amount of data, one part of data is there. So only that part we need to analyze again to find out the mistakes. Understood? So this is again a limitation of statistics. So have you understood what are the limitations of statistics? Koi doubt, koi shak? Okay. Now, next is collection of data. As I've already told you, data is broadly classified as primary data and secondary data. Collection of data plays a very important role for statistical analysis. Now, I have already explained what is primary data, what is secondary data. Now what we are going to do is, primary data, the following methods are employed for the collection of primary data. What are the methods? Let us see. First method is interview. Second, mailed questionnaire method. Third, observation method. And fourth, questionnaires filled and sent by the enumerators. Now in the first method, interview. So I am going to interview all you students, and based on those interviews I am going to give you marks. So by this I am going to collect the primary data from you guys. Okay, and then I will be using the data which you have given to me to convert it into your results. So that data which is given by you to me, that will be used as my secondary data for me to analyze it and give out the result. So understood primary, secondary. Now next is a mailed questionnaire. So I'm going to send you a questionnaire, means a set of questions, and everybody is going to answer. So based on your answers, I'm going to again analyze the data. Okay. Third is observation method. So right now I'm observing that all the girls are sitting in front of me. Few of them are physically present but mentally absent. I can read it on their faces. Okay, if I say this. So this is my observation. But I can also say that all the boys are very attentive. Okay, so that's my observation. So based on this, I'm going to collect my primary data. Next, questionnaire is filled and sent by the enumerators. This you know. So interview can be taken as a personal interview, an indirect interview, or a telephone interview. So in personal interview, what will happen? The investigator meets the respondents directly and collects the required information. So in case of natural calamity like a cyclone, earthquake, epidemic, we may collect the necessary data much more quickly and accurately by applying this method. So now, kutla method kuthe vapraisa, that is also decided. Which application, which method is taken. That is also important. Then if there are some practical problems in reaching the respondents directly, as in a case of a rail accident, then indirect interview, where investigator collects the necessary information from the persons associated with the problems. Third one, telephonic interview, which is a quick and non-expensive way, because the person can sit in one place, he can call out to all the respondents and find out the data. So the first two methods, though more accurate, are inapplicable for covering a large amount of data, whereas a telephone interview, though less consistent, has a wide coverage. Next part, mailed questionnaire method. Now, questions are framed in such a way which they will sound sequenced and well drafted, covering all the important aspects of the problem under consideration. And sending them to the respondents with a prepaid stamp after providing all the necessary guidelines for filling up the questionnaire. So what I will do, I will form a questionnaire, I'll give to each one of you, and I will give you a few instructions. That total questions are 20, out of that only 15 you have to answer. So you will do it, then I will collect the papers and I'll get the data. Okay, this is the questionnaire form. The questionnaire form of data collection is used for larger enquiries from the persons who are surveyed. So generally during our voting, there are camps, की तुमचं कार्ड, voting card आलं नसेल, so you please come up to us, we will give you the voting card. So indirectly, they are collecting your phone number, your area, your mobile number with them. So this is the data they are collecting. Based on the data, they will give you the voting card if necessary documents are there. Okay. So this can be in a form of mailed questionnaire. Okay. In observation, nuclear data. You know what is a nuclear data? Separate data. म्हणजे let's say for example ओमचा डेटा मला कलेक्ट करायचा आहे. ओमचं नाव, his age, where he comes from, his marks. This is my discrete data. एकाच इंडिव्हिज्युअलचा डेटा घेतला आहे. ओके. आणि there is another concept called as what is that called? A discrete data and one more type of data is there. In which you will form classes. म्हणजे let's say in our class, the number of girls whose name starts with S. Okay, there might be 4 or 5 of the girls. Okay, so in this way, so that type of data is called as a classified data. That's not a discrete data. So understood the difference between classified data and discrete data. Now let us consider abhi yahan tak any doubts, anyone? Have you understood all the things? Now the next part is sources of secondary data. Now what is secondary data? So they have given here. There are many sources of getting secondary data. What are the sources? International sources like WHO, IMF, World Bank. Okay. Second, government sources like statistical abstract by CSO, Indian agricultural statistics by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and so on. So pratyek je department hai, that department will have a secondary data which will be formed based on primary data which is given by the citizens. Okay. Let's say for example Aadhaar card. Can we say Aadhaar card is also a method of collecting data? A huge amount of data is collected, and then based upon your area or based upon your initials or based upon whether the Aadhaar number is old or new, okay, there are different amendments or changes which are made. So this is also a secondary data that is collected, Aadhaar card. Okay. Private and quasi-government sources like ISI, NCERT, etc. Unpublished sources of various research institution, researchers, etc. आता जे लोक रिसर्च करतात, ICER, let us take an example of ICER. तिथे लोक जे रिसर्च करतात, that research is based upon some initial primary data. Correct na? Research la basic data varna they will start, analyze a few things, and they will keep on reducing the amount of data. So this is a source of secondary data. Next, scrutiny of data. Now as the name suggests, what is scrutiny? Whatever data you have got under consideration, you have to check whether it is accurate and consistent. Suppose I have appointed 2 people. I have divided this class into 2 groups, appointed 2 people. One, Om is the head of one group, and let's say Bhavika is the head of another group. Okay. Now I have appointed both these to scrutinize the data. Means what? let's say Bhavika has 4 girls under her. Okay, so she has to ask their name, check out whether whatever information they have given is consistent, is it true, is it accurate. She will take your Aadhaar card, check whether the information that you have given is correct or no, and then give it back. So this is nothing but scrutiny of your data which she is going to do. And I am the government. I have appointed both of you as my helpers in order to scrutinize or analyze, so that less number of errors will be there. Now, if you see over here, density. Suppose, for an example, if data of population area and density for some places are given, we have to examine whether the relation holds true or not. Okay. So now when what they have given, density is equal to population upon area. अभी ये मुझे बताओ, if the density increases, population का क्या होगा? If we say the density is increased, population will increase. If we say the density is increased, what happens to the area? It will become less. Now, a good statistician can also detect whether the returns submitted by some enumerators are exactly of the same type, thereby implying a lack of seriousness on the part of enumerator. Now I have appointed both these under me. But now if Om doesn't want to do his job, he is tired of doing his job. So what he will do? He will say, Jane do. Whatever information is coming to me, I will take that and I'll just give it to the government. Okay. But now I have to determine whether this information is correct or no. So what I will do? There will be error. That's a major error, right? Because he is not collecting accurate data. So that is a major error on his part. So that error gets reflected in the data that is collected. So now I am a good statistician. Depending upon a few errors, I will decide whether this data is consistent and accurate or no, based on few observations. Okay. Now the bias of the enumerator. Now it is a bias, na? Omni ठरवलं की मला सांगायचंच नाहीये what is the correct data. So it's your bias. Omचा bias आहे की तो त्याला सांगायचं नाहीये. Okay. Now this will be reflected by the returns submitted by him. So whatever information he is giving to me as the government, there is a problem in that. This type of error can be rectified by asking the enumerator to collect the data for the disputed cases once again. So as a government, what I will tell Om, he has a data unless so accurate nahi hai. So Om, go back to all the people from whom to data collect kela hai and check whether it's an accurate data or no. So this error will be rectified if I am a good statistician. But if I am not a good statistician, then what I will do? Okay, Omni mala he dilay, Bhavika has also given me that data. ठीक है, let it move ahead. Whether तिथे errors आहेत, नाही आहेत, I don't care. So that will definitely impact on the analysis that I am going to do. Now, presentation of data. So now all the data is collected, everything is done. Okay. And it is also verified for its homogeneity and consistency. Consistency म्हणजे कळलं तुम्हाला consistent म्हणजे काय? की काम दिलेलं अपॉइंट केलेलं त्या एन्युमरेटरनी केलंय, दॅट इज कन्सिस्टन्सी. अँड होमोजिनिटी म्हणजे सेम टाईप ऑफच डेटा त्यांनी कलेक्ट केलाय. की असं नाही व्हायला पाहिजे की ओमला मी सांगितलंय टोटल नंबर ऑफ स्टुडंट्सचे आधार कार्ड नंबर्स कलेक्ट कर, पण एकाचा त्यांनी आधार कार्ड नंबर कलेक्ट केला, एकाचा पासपोर्टच कलेक्ट केला, तर उपयोग नाही ना. हां, सो प्रेझेंटेशन म्हणजे होमोजिनिटीचा अर्थ मी तुम्हाला सांगितला. होमोजिनियस म्हणजे एक सिमिलर टाईप ऑफ डेटा असायला पाहिजे आणि कन्सिस्टंट असायला पाहिजे. We need to represent them in a neat and condensed form, highlighting the essential features of data. So any statistical analysis is dependent upon proper presentation of data. Now let us go to classification or organization of data. Ata, what is classification of data? It is defined as the process of arranging data on the basis of characteristic under consideration into a number of groups or classes according to similarities. So आपल्या केस मध्ये काय मी ओमला सांगितलं, आधार नंबर्स, that is a similarity of our data. It puts the data in a neat, precise and condensed form so that it is easily understood. आता हा neat, precise, condensed form म्हणजे can be a tabular form, Kima in school, you must have studied about a pictorial or a pictograph. You remember a pictograph or a pie diagram, pie chart. Hmm? So now, statistical analysis is possible only for classified data. That is a important aspect. It eliminates unnecessary details and make the data more understandable. So data may be classified as chronological or time series data, geographical or spatial series data, qualitative or ordinal data, and quantitative or cardinal data. Hmm? Now, okay, now let us find out what are the modes of representation of data. First is the textual representation. So now whatever I am showing you on the board, is it textual representation? Yes. Next is a tabular representation. This is a table. So now by just looking at the table, can you tell me what is this table about? Or what information is the table giving me? It is telling me information about a member of a TU or a non-member. How many males, how many females, and what is the total number. So just by looking at the table, instead of I explaining you each and everything, just by looking at the table, you will understand what the table is about. So this is called as which form? Tabular form or tabular representation of data. Next comes the diagrammatic representation, which is nothing but a line diagram or a histogram, bar chart, pie chart. Just a minute. Okay. Now let us take this example. The profit in lakhs of rupees of an industrial house for 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are 5, 8, 9, 6, 12, 15 and 24 respectively. Represent these data using a suitable diagram. आता हा कुठला type of diagram आहे माहिती आहे तुम्हाला? Which type of diagram is this? आता what is this diagram about? Let us see that first. On the x-axis, time is there, म्हणजे number of years. On the y-axis, profits which are obtained in lakhs of rupees, that is given. Now this is a point form which is marked. So which type of data is it called as? It is called as a line chart because it is connecting the two dots together by a line. Okay. Now from this data we can see that the profit has increased in the year. Profit has increased in the year 2015. It is the lowest in the year and it has reached a minima. In which year? Minima means the minimum value. Maxima means the maximum value. So maybe 2012. So this is called as a line chart or a line graph. Now this all of you know. What is this? Bar graph. In bar graph, again on x-axis time period is given to you. On y-axis profit in rupees is given to you. You have to draw a bar graph. There is also a double bar graph. So double bar graph is used for two types of data which are to be represented. This is a single type of data. Now here you can see on the x-axis again time period is given. On the y-axis production in metric tons is given. So which type of diagram is this? Line chart. There are multiple lines, so it's a multiple line chart. म्हणजे काय? Basically जसं आपण double bar graph जसा काढतो when there are two different sets of data, इथे सुद्धा here multiple lines will represent multiple data that are available. Okay, understood? Next. मी हे सगळं जाती आहे तुम्हाला आत्ता ते खूप इझी वाटेल पण when I am going to ask you questions you have to answer. मी हे उगाचच टाइमपास माझा वेळ जात नाहीये म्हणून करत नाहीये. हे अगदी फालतू आणि सोप्पं जरी वाटलं तर इट इज नॉट लाईक दॅट. Applications are asked, so you please pay attention. That's the reason I'm wasting so much time on this. Okay, now this is a pie chart. Now, if you see here, the source is given to you and revenue of millions of rupees is given to you. So customs is 80, excise is 190, income tax is 160, corporate tax is 75, and miscellaneous is nothing but 35. So now this is a pie chart, 80. So now there is a central angle for a pie chart, if you remember. If suppose I draw a pie chart. This is my center. Now I want to decide the central angle. Now what I will do, here the central angle is first calculated. Formula is the amount that is given divided by 540. Why 540? Because that's the total revenue in rupees that is given, into 360, because we need to find out the angle. Circle is made up of, is nothing but 360, it is made up of 360 degrees. So angle which I have got is 53 degrees. So how will I draw it in the pie chart? Take the baseline, draw 54 degree ka angle. This is 54. So this will be my customs. Similarly, I will find out excise duty, that is 127. I will again draw a graph. This is excise, and so on. So in this way, pie chart is drawn and the calculations are done. So here they have shown it very nicely. Excise is shown by a horizontal line, IT by dots, customs by circles, CT by smaller lines, and then miscellaneous is just the white portion. Okay, so from just by looking at this, you can find out how much of excise people are there, how much of customs are there, and so on. Now frequency distribution. Now I want you to write, all of you, give the heading as frequency distribution. This is important. Write down, a frequency distribution is defined as, a frequency distribution is defined as a tabular representation of statistical data, is defined as a tabular representation of statistical data, usually in ascending order. See the things which I have marked here. You have to write this down. Is it visible? Okay, last bench, the person sitting next to Atharva, what's your name? Aditya. Okay. I have two nephews, Atharva and Aditya. So now I will remember your name. Okay. Written down. So when tabulation is done in respect of a discrete random variable, it is known as discrete or ungrouped data. So finish writing down this part. I'll mark the next one for you. When tabulation is done in respect of a discrete random variable, it is known as discrete or ungrouped or simple frequency distribution. And in case the characteristic under consideration is a continuous variable, such as classification in terms of group frequency. So magashi मी जसं सांगितलं, discrete random variable or grouped or a continuous variable, which they have given over here for grouped frequency. I hope it is clear. So is it done? So done. Now let us take this example. Following are the records of babies born in a nursing home in Bangalore during a week. B denotes a boy and G for a girl. So construct a frequency distribution table according to the gender. Hmm? Now the category is given, number of births are given, total is given. So in this is called as a frequency distribution table. Now this particular number 16, is it a discrete variable or a grouped variable? Grouped variable. All this is also a group variable and total is also a group variable. Okay, now uh, okay, now see, now for this particular table, tell me which is the largest, that is a range, wait, wait. Okay, write down first frequency distribution of a variable. Write down first term called as range, range of observations. Range R, range R is nothing but largest observation minus smallest observation. R range is given by the formula largest observation minus smallest observation. Second, number of class interval into class range. Number of class interval into class length is equal to range. Number of class interval into class length will give us the value of range. So understood these points. Now tell me, related to this particular table, if we want to make a frequency distribution, can you tell me what will be the range of this data? Just by looking at the observations. What is the minimum? Smallest observation? Greatest observation? What is the range? Huh? So range is 6. So now, see, now when the printing mistake is made 0, the tally marks are counted. You know how to count the tally marks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So now tally marks is given. So from the tally marks, can you find out the frequency of number of pages? Yes, this is 5, this is 5, this is 6, 6, 4, 2, 2. Total is 30. So now if you want to find out range for this particular data, range is given by maximum weight minus minimum weight. So here the range is 29 kgs. Now we have to find out what range is equal to. So that is number of class interval. The number of class intervals is not known to us. We have to find that out. Class length is given as 5. Class length is given as 5. So from that, number of class intervals will be 6. That is 29 upon 5. Answer will be 6. So have you understood how to calculate? So look at this now, this frequency table. Now all of you are going to answer a few questions. Now look at the class interval. Okay, the first class interval is 44 to 48. Second class interval is 49 to 53. Is it a continuous class? No. Now this is not a continuous frequency table. Continuous grouped frequency table is not here. This is just a grouped frequency table. Now how to convert it to a continuous table? What we will do is, in this particular class interval, which is the lowest value, minimum value 44, maximum value 48. So what I am going to do is add plus 0.5 to maximum value and also to the minimum value. So now if I want to convert this into a continuous class, what I am going to do, 44.5 to 48.5 first class, next 48.5 to 53.5, next class 53.5 to 58.5. Now is it converted to a continuous grouped table? So have you understood how to convert a normal grouped frequency into a continuous group frequency? Now these are the important things which I want you to write down. Write down. First class, write down terms associated with frequency distribution. Terms associated with frequency distribution. First is the class limit. First is the class limit. So write down this part. First is the class limit. The minimum value is known as lower class limit and the maximum value is called as the upper class limit. That is UCL. Next is the class boundary. Write down next heading and write it like this. Okay, so now the minimum value. Okay, write this down. Then about class boundary, they are defined as the actual class limit of class interval. Class boundary can be defined as actual class limit of a class interval. Actual class limit of a class interval. This is usually done for a continuous variable. This is usually done for a continuous variable. Correct? Written this part, class boundary. Now write down the formula. Lower class boundary is equal to lower class limit LCL minus D upon 2, where D is the difference between LCL of next class and UCL of given class. Write down these formulas. I will explain to you with the help of a table. Lower class boundary is given by lower class limit minus difference upon 2. UCB upper class boundary is given as upper class limit plus D upon 2. D is the difference between lower class limit of next interval and upper class limit of the current interval. I'll explain. With the help of the example, it will be more easier for you to understand. Just write this down right now. Just write down the formulas, this one, and also write down this part. Where D is the difference between lower class limit of next class interval and upper class limit of the given class interval. So check this, 44 minus 49 minus 48 upon 2 kgs. Answer is 43.50 kg. Now let us check in the above table. Here, lower class limit is what? Atharva, pay attention. What is lower class limit? In this example, 44. Upper class limit is 48. Now how will you calculate the class boundary? 44 minus, what is D? Current class limit की upper class limit and the next class limit की lower class limit. So that is 49 minus 48. That is going to give us D. Understood? What is D? Huh? So the answer is 43.550. Similarly, you will calculate the UCB, upper class boundary, as upper class limit plus D, that is 49 minus 48 upon 2. Understood? That comes out to be 48.50. Now there is a concept called as midpoint or mid value, which is calculated as lower class, write this down, midpoint is equal to LCL plus UCL upon 2, lower class limit plus upper class limit upon 2, and the next is lower class boundary plus upper class boundary upon 2. Lower class boundary plus upper class boundary upon 2. So is this correct? Have you understood this part? All of you? Any doubt? Next, width of a size of a class interval. Write down width is nothing but difference between UCB and LCB of the class interval. Difference between UCB and LCB of class interval. Next, cumulative frequency. Next is cumulative frequency. Number of observations less than the value or less than or equal to class boundary. This is cumulative frequency. These are the important concepts. Based on this is all the base on which we are going to study statistics. Okay, a lot of bigger problems will be asked. This is a very basic thing. If you don't understand, please ask right now. Done? Cumulative frequency? Write it down. You have to do a lot of writing today. This all theory is very necessary for you to understand, then only the further things will be clear to you. Finished? Finished? So check here. This is a cumulative frequency distribution of 36 BBA students that is given. The class boundary is given for all of them. Okay. Now cumulative frequency, please check what is that. So what is the cumulative frequency for weight 43.500? Add that to the next value, that is 0 plus 3, 3. Take this value, again add the next value, that is 4. In this way cumulative frequency is calculated. So take the original value, add it to the next value, then take it as the original value, add it to the next value, and so on. So in this way you will get the cumulative frequency. Everybody has understood how the cumulative frequency is calculated? Can you see it? What is the cumulative frequency for 43.50? Less than. We'll first find out the less than cumulative frequency, okay? So it is 0. Now, next was given to us as 3. Now, cumulative frequency means what? You will add the initial value in the next value. Huh? So what is 0 plus 3? 3. Now, in 3, again I am going to add the next value, 4. So 3 plus 4 is going to give me 7. Again after 7, 7 plus 5. 5 was given to you. 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 plus 7 is 19. 19 plus 9 is 28. 28 plus 8 is 36. Understood how they have calculated cumulative frequency? They have taken the original value, add that value to the next value. That becomes the initial value now. Again add that to the next value. In this way you will calculate the cumulative frequency. Understood this part? Everyone? Yes or no? Atharva? 9. हे ओरिजिनल दिलं होतं. नंबर ऑफ स्टुडंट्स दिसतात. ह्या रेंजसाठी 3 आहे. आता मला जर क्युम्युलेटिव्ह फ्रिक्वेन्सी काढायची झाली, ओरिजिनल नंबर काय आहे? 0, कारण काहीच दिलेलं नाही आहे. ओरिजिनल आपल्याला माहित नाही, 0 नंबर ऑफ स्टुडंट्स असणार. त्याच्यात इफ यू ॲड 3 स्टुडंट्स, हाऊ मेनी स्टुडंट्स आर देअर नाव? 3. त्या 3 मध्ये नेक्स्ट किती आहेत? 4 ॲड करायचे. म्हणजे 3 प्लस 4. त्या 7 मध्ये ॲड, सो 7 प्लस 5 12. त्या 12 मध्ये ॲड 7 19. त्या 19 मध्ये ॲड 9. आता कळलं? This is a Ogilv's histogram, frequency curve, bell curve. We'll need to finish this today. Okay. Now, frequency density, write down frequency density of a class interval. Write this part. Frequency density of a class interval is defined as ratio of frequency of that class interval. It may be defined as ratio of frequency of that class interval to the corresponding class length. It may be defined as ratio of frequency of that class interval to the corresponding class length. Finished writing this part? Yes. Next, relative frequency is the ratio of class frequency to total frequency. Relative frequency of a class interval is defined as ratio of class frequency to total frequency. Finish writing? Then when we represent it in terms of percentage, you will multiply by 100. Hmm? If the relative frequency ka percentage you have to find out, then you will multiply it by 100. Next, now let us come to the graphical representation of a frequency. First is histogram or areagram. Let us read it. If you don't understand, let me know. Histogram or area diagram. This is a very convenient way to represent a frequency distribution. Histogram helps us to get an idea of the frequency curve of the variable under study. So if you go and observe the histogram, this is the histogram in which on x-axis you can see weight of a student in kgs, which is nothing but the class boundary, you can say. On the y-axis, number of students or frequency is given to us. Now, do you know what is a mode? Total number of how many students are there? How many BBA students are there? 36 students. Huh? So, mode has to be calculated. Okay, now the mode concept also you don't know, na? How many of you know what is a mode, mean, median? Okay, first we will study this bell-shaped curves because they are very easy to understand. Huh? Let us read a frequency. The previous part I'll explain with the help of an example tomorrow. In tomorrow's lecture, I'll explain with the help of an example so it becomes clear. Instead of reading the entire theory, just by looking at the example, you can understand. Okay? So that I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Frequency curve. A frequency curve is a smooth curve for which the total area is taken to be unity. Unity means 1. Huh? It is a limiting form of histogram or frequency polygon. The frequency curve for a distribution can be obtained by drawing a smooth and freehand curve through the midpoints of upper sides of a rectangle. So you can see 4 types of frequencies. First is the bell-shaped curve. Next becomes the U-shaped curve, J-shaped curve, and a mixed curve. So for a U-shaped curve, frequency is minimum near the central part and frequency will slowly reach the maximum at the extremities. So this is a bell-shaped curve. Can we say it's a bell-shaped curve? So where are the extremities? So this is the highest value or highest level, that is, or highest frequency that is obtained. And these are the lower frequencies. This is the starting frequency and this is the ending frequency. Is it touching the x-axis? No, it is just above x-axis. It is not exactly, समजा 0 असेल on x-axis, so it's 0 nahi hai. It is, let's say, 0.3 or 0.35. So the bell-shaped curve never touches the x-axis. Okay, keep this in mind. Then this is a U-shaped curve. So now write down types of curves. Give the heading as types of curves. First is a U-shaped curve. U-shaped curve, write this down. The frequency is minimum near the central, not maximum. I told you it is maximum. No, the frequency is minimum near the central part. So the upper part, that was the minimum frequency. And it's the frequency slowly but steadily reaches its maximum at the extremities. So this was our minimum part. So draw this bell-shaped curve. Draw this bell-shaped curve. And this is our minimum part. And these are the maximum extreme points. Okay, write down here. Draw this graph. Write down minimum at this point. Write down minimum at this point, a bell-shaped curve. And these are the extremities which are not touching the x-axis, but they are going to give us the maximum numbers or maximum frequency. Have you written it down? Bell-shaped curve. sorry. Wait. Now this is a bell-shaped curve. Huh? Draw it like this. Then right here, let us say this point, maximum frequency. These are the minimum extreme frequencies. So this point and this point. These are the extremities. This is minimum extremities. And this point is the maximum for a bell-shaped curve. For a U-shaped curve, it is the exact opposite. So U-shaped curve, this will be the lowest. So these will be minimum values for a U-shape, and this will be the maximum value. So draw a U-shape, write your maximum and write your minimum. U-shaped. आधीचा होता bell-shaped. Drawn U-shaped curve. Then let us go to a J-shaped curve. J-shaped curve. So can you tell me minimum, maximum now for a J-shaped curve? This point over here, it will have minimum frequency, and this point will have maximum extreme frequency, and this point will be again extreme frequency, but you have to determine whether it is minimum or maximum based upon the values. This is a J-shaped curve. Done? Now next comes a mixed curve. Mixed curve. This is a mixed curve. Quartiles is important, पण ते मी तुम्हाला नंतर सांगते उद्याच्या ह्याच्यात, बिकॉज ते जरा समजून घ्यायला पाहिजे with the help of an example. That example also I'll give you. Next is, so I think we'll stop here for today, and we'll be doing the next part tomorrow. कारण हे खूप झालं ना, too much theory done. Okay, so I think we'll stop here for today, and if you have any doubts, you ask me. Go home, please read through what I have told you so that it remains here, which is very important, because while solving questions you should know how to convert it into a continuous group frequency, what is the minimum, what is the maximum, what is class length, what is upper class boundary, everything you should know. So tomorrow I am going to ask you, and then we will continue with the next part. कळलं का हर्षवर्धन? तुला आधी विचारणार. So you should be prepared. Okay, so I think we'll stop. Bye bye for today.